Right now at noon, major flooding from Florence completely cuts off towns in North Carolina, and rivers are still rising. What's being done to help those stranded? Plus, there are accusations of sexual assault against the Supreme Court nominee, and Brett Kavanaugh and his accusers say they are willing to testify before lawmakers.
This is News 3 at noon.
Good afternoon and thanks for joining us. Mark is off this week. I'm Josh Spreiter. What's left of Hurricane Florence is still dumping rain on parts of North Carolina. The storm is already blamed for 17 deaths. It's caused widespread flooding, which could get worse as rivers crest. Water has cut off the coastal city of Wilmington from the rest of the state. Officials are planning to use high water vehicles to drive in enough food and other supplies to feed 60,000 people for several days. In places like New Bern, where the water has already gone down, people are starting to assess the damage. This man is trying to get his restaurant open again.
Probably got, 15,000 gallons of water. We've already pumped out 7,000 gallons, so we're trying to get it dried out so he can get open and get everything squared away.
Almost 500,000 people began the day without power in North Carolina. Flooding will be a concern there for days to come since several rivers in the state are expected to crest tomorrow. Much quieter picture back here at home, but meteorologist Chris Reese is tracking chances for rain, and still humid out there, Chris.
It is humid, but the thing is, the video we just watched kind of puts things into perspective. But those dew points are up out there, so as you step outside, the sweat factor is going to be a little bit on the higher side. Dew points are in the mid-60s, low 70s for dew points as you work your way over towards the west. Temperature-wise, we do have temperatures that are in the 80s. 88 for our friends down in Janesville today, with a couple more hours of heating to go. They will make a run at 90 degrees if they do not reach it. 84 right now here in Madison. Will probably top out in the upper 80s here as well. But those dew points, like I mentioned, are in the mid-60s, and we're going to see them stay that way as we go through the rest of the evening. That's because we have this strong southwesterly wind that's going to be very dominant as we go through the rest of today and into tomorrow as well. So do expect those dew points to stay steady. But with that moisture into the atmosphere, the heat and a cold front on the way, that will lead to some shower and thunderstorm chances returning to our forecast. We could notice those as early as late tonight and tomorrow morning.
Another sweaty day out there.
Another sweaty day, but before too long, it'll finally cool off after we get through some of these rain chances.
All right, Chris, we'll see you in just a bit.
All right.
The woman accusing Supreme Court nominee Brett Kavanaugh of sexual assault says she is willing to testify publicly. A 51-year-old research psychologist from California says Judge Kavanaugh assaulted her at a high school party back in the 80s. She was 15 and he was 17 at the time. Kavanaugh denies the allegation. He released a new statement today saying he is willing to talk to the Senate Judiciary Committee in any way the committee deems appropriate. The woman accusing Kavanaugh, Christine Blasey Ford, wants to remain anonymous. She decided to go public after word leaked last week about a letter she wrote to a couple of members of Congress.
She believes it bears on his character, but she has not taken a position that he should not be confirmed.
Judge Kavanaugh.
A key vote on Kavanaugh's nomination is scheduled for Thursday. Democrats want to delay it while the allegation is being investigated. At least one Republican on the committee, a senator from Arizona, says he wants to know more before he votes. In the past, Republicans have said they want to get Kavanaugh confirmed by October 1st. That's the first day of the Supreme Court's fall term. Right now, Madison police are responding to an increase in car break-ins across the city. Police are checking cars in different neighborhoods during the overnight hours. Officers are placing these report cards on vehicles. If you leave valuables in plain view, if the door is locked or windows open, then the officer marks failed on the car. Hopefully yours is one that is marked passed. They say this is nothing other than educational, so you can help them reduce crime in our community. Reconstruction on bridges seriously damaged by flooding officially starts today. Last week, Governor Walker approved $2.8 million in emergency funding to help rebuild bridges over the Black Earth Creek in western Dane County. Those bridges are along Highway 14. The DOT looked at installing a temporary bridge, but determined it would only delay work on a permanent replacement. Construction is set to finish in mid-November. New Census Bureau estimates show Wisconsin's poverty rate last year was unchanged from 2016. The rate is 11.3, which is below the national rate of 12.3. The data also shows Wisconsin's median household income went up about $1,000 to just over $59,000. The new data shows 21 states had a higher median income, including Minnesota. Warby Parker is opening its first Madison location this year. The store will go in the former Jamba Juice site on State Street. Warby Parker is known for helping to address the lack of access to glasses. For each pair sold, a pair is donated. The company also has a special try-on program at home. There's more to come here on News 3 at noon. Let's see what Howard's working on in the Mr. Food Test Kitchen.
All this week here in the Test Kitchen, we're celebrating retro school lunch cafeteria favorites. Trust me, you won't want to miss today's recipe. You won't. One thing that we get asked quite often here in the Test Kitchen is if we have any recipes for those classic dishes that used to be served in school cafeterias. As a matter of fact, we do. So all this week, we're taking a trip down memory lane, hairnets and all, as we recreate and even improve upon many of those favorites. One dish that seems to bring back all sorts of memories is mashed potatoes. So today, I'm going to share with you a from-scratch version that still makes the grades. After boiling a good amount of potatoes that we've peeled, we drain them really well and beat them until they're smooth. To that, we add some butter, a bit of milk, an egg, and a little salt and pepper, just like the lunch ladies did, but on a much smaller scale. And just like they did at my school, we put them in a pan and bake them off. And when they're hot, all you have to do is dish them out along with all your other favorites. And as a special treat, we could even top them off with more butter or brown gravy. To get this throwback recipe, all you have to do is go online and search for what we call Monday's mashed potatoes. I'm Howard with Kelly in the Mr. Food Test Kitchen. Of course, wearing our hairnets. Where today we found a classic creamy way for you to say, ooh, it's so good.
Well, now is the time to start thinking about your plant and garden questions. Linda Barch with the Bruce Company will join us a little later in this show. Plus, our chance of rain returns this evening. Meteorologist Chris Reese has those details straight ahead in his first alert forecast. This is News 3 at noon. And welcome back. The stocks are down today at the noon hour. The Dow down 21 points, NASDAQ down 64. Let's check in now with Q106 Farm Director Pam Yonke. Pam, good afternoon. Hope you had a good weekend.
Hey there, Josh. Yeah, it would have been better if we got a win yesterday with the Packers or a win with our Badgers, but still the weather is helping to make all of this go a lot easier. And that includes our Wisconsin harvest. If you've been out on rural Wisconsin roadways, you know that the traffic has already picked up quite a little bit. I saw a lot of combines that are making their way into the fields. We've got a lot of chopper boxes that are also trailing tractors trying to get the harvest started. So please be mindful. This is National Farm Safety and Health Week, where we put special emphasis on how big that equipment is, how careful you need to be when you're operating around it, how you need to mind the rules of the road, and that means not passing farm equipment in a no-passing zone. So just simple things like that so we can all operate safer. Well, the president had been quiet as far as social media all weekend long, but That changed as of this morning. He started tweeting about $200 billion more in new tariffs that he's proposing for China. China says they're ready to respond. It did, however, send China's stock to some of the lowest levels we've seen since their economy tanked back in 2016, took down stocks in Asia as well as some of the European areas too. So something we're going to kind of have to keep an eye on and see if those tariffs come into play. Our farmers, meanwhile, are just kind of being forced lower on prices because our harvest is going so well. Today in Chicago, not much to report. Barrel and block cheese both remained unchanged. AA butter up 2.5 cents at $2.26 a pound. Just got a big blurb from the National FFA organization. They say that Garth Brooks has just announced that he is going to play a special FFA member-only concert during their national convention in Indianapolis. I'm sure that's going to get the blue and gold pretty excited about that, Josh.
Yeah, sounds good, Pam. I got friends in low prices, right?
That's right, my boy. You bet. Well, there's nothing low about what we're experiencing temperature-wise out there right now, boy.
That is for sure. And we're going to get to meteorologist Chris Reese. We'll see you tomorrow morning, on the morning show. Thanks, Pam.
Right. Mm-hmm.
And she kind of alluded there, we're still dealing with those warm temperatures, and we have another chance of rain. It's been like, what, 10 days since we've had rain?
It has been. It's been a very long time since we've had rain. So over the meantime, I've been tracking the rain down in North Carolina, folks. There's nothing low about these numbers either. They saw what for some places is more than a year's worth of rainfall in a single weekend. And now you start to understand why they had such substantial flooding, which of course that was the big deal that we were all concerned about anyway. Not so much the wind, but more so the sheer amount of water falling out of the sky. But Swansboro, North Carolina, just under 34 inches of rain for them. And then that goes all the way down. You see anywhere between 25 and upwards of 34 inches of rain. And those are the official rainfall total. Some of those unofficial reports are, of course, much higher, but still, here are the remnants of Florence right now, working towards the north and east, finally ending some of that rainfall for North Carolina. Some heavy rain across portions of southern Virginia. We do have a tornado warning there. Some light rain across portions of central and eastern Kentucky as well. But we are not concerned about that. But we are watching this rain that's coming into portions of western Minnesota now. That is what has the potential to impact us later on tonight. In the meantime, let's talk about yesterday's highs. 86 in Madison, upper 80s near La Crosse and Boscobel. And today we're going to do that all over again. 88 in Janesville, 84 for us right now. No 90s yet, but given that we have a few more hours of sunshine to go, I wouldn't be surprised if Janesville does hit 90 degrees today. But for us right now, we are enjoying the sunshine. It is humid as well, with those dew points well into the mid 60s here in Madison. We're going to keep them that way going through the rest of the overnight hours and into tomorrow. And that's just because high pressure to our south is keeping those winds out of the south as well. So we're going to be very warm and very humid. However, eventually, this cold front will work its way into town, and that is going to mean some chances for rain. We could see those as early as the overnight hours, and they're going to come in rounds. Here's another round possible through tomorrow morning as well. But if that's not enough, we're going to see more chances for rain Wednesday, and I do think the best chance for some rain comes into our picture as we go through the day on Thursday. And of course, with the lake and river levels so high, we are going to be watching very closely the amount of water that does fall out of the sky. Here's our future track model showing upwards of 2 inches of rain or so as we go through the next couple of days. And of course, anyone who gets under a heavy thunderstorm could see more rain than that. Temperature wise, though, they do begin to finally cool things down back to where they should be for this time of the year as we go through the rest of the week. But it's one more scorching day out there, if you will. 87 degrees. Dew points in the 60s mean it's going to feel like the 90s, so it is very warm out there. But I'm interested in that cool down. Yeah, it's going to rain, and of course we're going to watch that. But by the time we get you towards the weekend, sunshine and temperatures right around 70. That's actually the perfect kind of weather to get those leaves to start turning and really showing off those vibrant colors. Some of them are already starting to do so, but I was doing some research earlier today. Those cool, dry, sunny days really get the leaves going.
Oh, looking forward to it, Chris.
I know.
All right, thank you. Still to come on News 3 at noon, we are taking your plant and garden questions. Just call 270-9933. Linda's here to answer your questions live in studio when we return. Stay with us. And welcome back at noon. It is Monday, and we have Linda Barch here from the Bruce Company. And Linda, what'd you bring with us today?
I brought along some asters and some pansies. Both of these are good plants that are going to tolerate frost when we get them. I know it's hard to imagine on a day it's 87 degrees, but I also brought a little lettuce plant, and we also have some cold plants that you could plant because those crops can be replanted this time of the year and harvested this fall. And some sedum, just as a little touch. So if you have hot weather, that plant will tolerate it.
I know this is kind of that iffy time of year. You just never know what kind of weather you're going to get.
Yes, it can change pretty fast.
All right, and we do have a few callers already. We're going to get to Lori in Wanakee. Lori, what's your question?
Yes, I was wondering how you determine when to cut off perennials in the flower garden for winter cleanup. Is it after the first frost or when they start to turn brown?
When things turn brown, you can certainly cut them back, especially like peonies. Peonies are a plant that this year they have a lot of botrytis on the leaves. They're looking black and nasty. Cut that right down to the ground so you don't leave any of that behind for next season. Anything that's brown, cut off. Otherwise, you don't have to wait for frost, but with the mosquitoes, I'm finding I'm not going out into those flower beds right now. But as soon as it cools down a little bit, then that's a good time to clean it up, start cleaning things up.
Yeah, those mosquitoes have been pretty nasty. We're
They
gonna get to our next caller right now. We've got Charlie in Cottage Grove. What is your question, Charlie?
My question is about peacock ferns, and it's kind of the same thing. They're all turning brown and dying back. Can I cut those off now, or do I? Some people say I need to leave them standing to reseed for next year.
Okay, I'm not sure that I know what peacock fern is. Is it a true fern?
Yes.
It is, okay.
They get about 4 feet tall and just beautiful fronds.
So it's not an ostrich fern, is it?
No, I don't think so.
Okay, I just don't know that common name. You know what? Why don't you give me a call at the Bruce Company, and I can check with some other people and see if they recognize that name.
Okay.
Otherwise, if it's brown, cut it back.
Cut it back.
Yes, if there are some fronds that have spores, you could leave those.
Right.
All right, Charlie. Thank you. Next, we're going to get to Mary in Oregon. Mary, what's your question?
I have an iris garden on the west side of my house, and even though I know irises are only in the spring, I've noticed that they are not coming as big as they were. I get a lot more greenery, but not as much plant or flower.
Yeah.
And someone told me not to put wood chips down on the irises. Is this true? Or, I mean, I'm going to have to dig a lot of wood chips off if this is true.
No, irises, now we're talking about German bearded ones, the ones with the rhizomes?
Yes.
Okay, you don't want to cover them up with too much wood mulch, but around the soil, that's certainly a good idea. If they aren't flowering as much, it might be time for you to dig and divide, get rid of the old parts that are not performing as well, and give that a whole new start. You can cut 3 of them and put them in a little section like that and start it all over in the same area. But make sure you cut those leaves back on iris, because there is a borer that takes advantage of the leaf being left on. So. Some care.
All right, we got time for one more call. We're going to get to Larry in Janesville. Larry, what's your question?
Yes, I have a vacant lot next to my lot, and I've been told that it has a weed called nimbleweed in it. I was wondering how serious this is and what I could do to, prevent it from coming over on me.
So this is a grassy area, and it's starting to invade your lawn?
I'm sorry?
Larry, this is growing in your next lot, but it's starting to invade your lawn.
It's in the lot next to me, yeah.
Well, the problem is this is not going to be something that you're going to be able to eliminate by, unless you would use a strip of Roundup, because the nimbleweed would be killed by the same thing that would kill your good grass. So you're going to have to do some selective and keep it so it doesn't invade, because otherwise it will just slowly creep into your lawn, and then it's a problem.
A busy time of year?
It's always gardening time.
All right, Linda, thank you. Let's send it over to Chris for a final check of the forecast.
All right, we're enjoying some more beautiful sunshine out there today, but rain chances are quickly approaching into the region. We'll notice those as early as tomorrow morning and lasting through Thursday. But hey, we dry out by the weekend. We are talking by the weekend, low humidity, sunshine, and temperatures topping out right around 70 degrees. But in the meantime, we will watch this approaching rainfall.
All right, Chris, thank you, and thanks for joining us. We'll see you back here on Live at 4.
Making plans that are weather dependent? Get an accurate 12-hour, even a 10-day forecast. Download the Channel 3000 First Alert Weather app and start planning.